Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Live with me, Legendary Alex Cardinale. I have a fun show coming your way. A lot of great stuff is happening on tonight's episode of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Tonight's special guest is a former tropical fish keeper. He is a Canadian minister and a good friend of mine. David Morton will be our special guest today. Aqua Alex will be discussing the Asian upside down catfish on this weekend's Fish of the Weekend. Chef Alex will give out a delicious M&M cookie recipe. And Legendary Alex Cardinale's topics will include my first Saturday working at Sprouts, idiots cooking chicken in Nyquil, and I'll recap September and preview fall. Plus, funny videos, Tampa Bay Buccaneers discussion, and more. Don't forget an appearance by Liberty, the American bald eagle, who is going to conclude talking about America's best foods. And we got an appearance by Tweety, the blue and gold Macaw, who is going to talk about what's trending on social media and look back at some of my posts on Facebook from this day. So we've got a fun show coming your way starting right now. Do you have questions you want me to answer? Post them in the comments. Do you have topics you want me to discuss? Let me know in the comments. And you could also post your thoughts on any of the topics that I talk about tonight in the comments as well. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this show started. My first topic is going to be about my new job, and today was my first Saturday working there. Now, it's been at least a year since I worked a job that was 8 hours. Today I work 12 to 8 p.m. And I got to say, I loved my shift today. I love working at Sprouts. I work at the Sprouts in West Palm Beach. And today was a great first weekend shift. It was a real busy day and it kept me on my feet. And I love busy days like that because time goes by much faster. So today I concluded most of my training and I did some cashiering. I love cashiering. It is super fun, it is super simple, and it is super easy. And I love interacting with the guests. Now, South Florida is preparing for a hurricane or a storm. So I sold a lot of water today at Sprouts. So my first day or my first weekend shift at Sprouts was a success. I had a great time. Other than a guest or a customer breaking her apple cider vinegar and my register smelling like apple cider vinegar, I had a great shift at Sprouts. So I figured that would be a fun way to start the show. So, my next topic that I want to talk about is something that I saw on Twitter and TikTok the other day. Now, I'm going to say a statement and I want you to think for a moment. People are cooking chicken in Nyquil. Yes, that's right. You heard that right. What is Nyquil? Well, Nyquil is a cough medicine. And in strong dosage, it could be enough to kill somebody. So why are people cooking chicken in Nyquil? Well, in my opinion, people are doing it for views and fame. People will literally do anything for views and fame. I've seen it all, but this one has to be one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen. People cooking chicken in Nyquil. It's really dangerous. It's going to be a disgusting tasting chicken. And to say that it is inedible is a understatement because if you even thought about eating that chicken, you would get really sick. So here is an image of that chicken that has been cooked in Nyquil. As you can see, it looks gross. It looks gross. It looks like St. Patrick's Day cooked chicken. It looks like a St. Patrick's Day themed chicken, but it's made with cough medicine. It looks absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to go over what was posted by the FDA about the NyQuil chicken and how dangerous cooking chicken in NyQuil can be. Boiling a medication can make it much more concentrated and change its properties in other ways. Even if you don't eat the chicken, inhaling the medication's vipors while cooking can cause high levels of the drugs to enter your body. It can also hurt your lungs and lead to death if you ingest or digest a numerous amount of it. So whoever created the NyQuil chicken, you, sir, or you, ma'am, are an idiot because other idiots may follow you and they may decide to create this NyQuil chicken for views. All right, that was a fun way to start our show. Let's get to our first segment right now. All right, it's time for This Saturday in History. Today is Saturday, September 4th. Today is Saturday, September 24th, the 267th day of 2022. There are 98 days left in the year. Today's highlight in history. On September 24th, 1960, the USS Enterprise the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier was launched at Newport News, Virginia. On this date, in 1789, President George Washington signed a Judiciary Act establishing America's federal court system and creating the post of Attorney General. In 1869, thousands of businessmen were ruined in a Wall Street panic known as Black Friday after financiers Jay Gould and James Fisk attempted to corner the gold market. Here's a cool fact about on this day. On this day in 1957, the Los Angeles-bound Brooklyn Dodgers played their last game at Ebbets Field, defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-0. In 1968, the TV news magazine 60 Minutes premiered on CBS. Also, the undercover police drama The Mod Squad premiered on ABC. In 1996, the United States became the first to sign a treaty at the United Nations to end all testing and development of nuclear weapons. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty has yet to enter into force because of the refusal so far of 8 nations, including the United States, to ratify it. In 2001, on this day, President George W. Bush ordered a freeze on the assets of 27 people and organizations with suspected links to terrorism, including Islamic militant Osama bin Laden, and urged other nations to do likewise. In 2015, on this day, a stampede and crush of Muslim pilgrims occurred at an intersection near a holy site in Saudi Arabia. The Associated Press estimated that more than 2,400 people were killed, while the official Saudi toll stood at 769. In 2019, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi launched a formal impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. The probe focused partly on whether Trump abused his presidential powers and sought help from the government of Ukraine to undermine Democratic foe Joe Biden. As we all know, Trump would be acquitted by the Republican-controlled Senate on 2 impeachment charges. In 2020, President Donald Trump's refusal to commit to a peaceful transfer of power if he were to lose the November election drew swift blowback from both parties in Congress, with Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell saying that the winner will be inaugurated on January 20th. 10 years ago in 2012, President Barack Obama told the ABC talk show The View there was no doubt that the assault of the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, that killed 4 Americans, including the U.S. ambassador, wasn't just a mob action, but a sign of extremism in nations lacking stability. Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney accused Obama of minimizing the Benghazi attack as a mere bump in the road. 5 years ago, more than 200 NFL players kneeled or sat during the national anthem after President Donald Trump criticized the players' protest in a speech and a series of tweets. Trump signed a proclamation to replace his expiring travel ban on visitors from 6 Muslim-majority countries. Citizens from 8 countries would now face new restrictions on entry to the country. Last year, 1 year ago in 2021, a Republican-backed review of the 2020 presidential election in Arizona's largest county ended without providing proof to support former President Donald Trump's false claims of a stolen election. The vote tally from a firm hired by Republican lawmakers found that President Joe Biden won in the county by 360 more votes than in the official results that were certified. And that is today in history. Now let's learn about the people celebrating birthdays today. Today's birthdays: actor Justin Browning is 43. Olympic gold medalist gymnast Paul Palm is 40. Actor Eric Stocklin is 40. Actor Spencer Tree Clark is 35. Actor Gray Damon is 35. Actor Kyle Sullivan is 34. And actor Ben Platt is 29. Happy birthday to anyone who celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday to anyone celebrating a birthday today. And happy birthday to anyone celebrating a birthday this upcoming week. Thank you for participating in Today in History, Saturday, September 24th. Shout out to Cyclo, who's watching us live. Hey, Cyclo, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, moving along to our next topic. Today is the last Saturday in September. Can you believe September is almost over already? That's right, today is the last Saturday in September. So here is a September 2022 recap. Now, I started September working at the Palm Beach Zoo. And while I was working at the Palm Beach Zoo, I really wanted to be a sales lead. Eventually, I found out that I would not be getting the sales lead position. And that really angered me because I had spent the entire summer busting my ass, working hard to get that position. And I saw new people come in after me, and they got hired to be a sales lead. And I took that as a slap in the face. Here I am busting my ass for this $10 and $10.50 an hour job, busting my ass as a lead cashier, and I did not get an ounce of appreciation from my boss. And I took it as a personal insult when I saw people hired after me getting the sales lead position. So when I found out that I wasn't getting it, the decision was clear. I had to leave. So I left early that day that I found out, clocked out, went home, and instantly I jumped on the computer and I went on to Indeed and I started applying to some jobs. And immediately, like the next day, I got an interview and I got my new job where I am today. So my decision to leave the Palm Beach Zoo gift shop was a simple but yet great one, and I am proud I made that decision. When one door closes, another one opens. When an opportunity you want doesn't come your way, you must reach out and take it, and that's what I did. And I started my new job, and I'm loving it. Also in September, I started my new bowling league, and I'm doing great in my fall league, enjoying myself there. I also had an interview at Sprouts, and I got hired, and that is where I am currently working right now. I started my job at Sprouts this month, and I am doing a fantastic job at my new job, and I love my new job, so I'm glad I had that opportunity. Also this month, NFL football season started. The 2022 NFL football season started, and my Buccaneers are 2-0. And the Dolphins and Eagles are 2-0, which is surprising to me. And just this week, we had the Princess Diana funeral. That is what happened in the month of September. I can't wait to see what happens in October, November, and December, the final 3 months of the year. All right, the last topic I have for you tonight before we get to all of our planned segments is, what do I look forward to this fall? Fall is one of my favorite seasons. Good weather. In South Florida, Fall equals good weather. We may have a hurricane warning every now and then, but generally, fall in South Florida can promise good weather. It means temperatures like 60s, 70s, and 80s, whereas people in New England, for example, are going to start getting cold weather. I also look forward to my job at Sprouts and proving that I can be the best at my job position. That's going to be really fun. I look forward to Halloween. And speaking of Halloween, starting next week, all the episodes of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale are going to be Halloween themed. There will be some Halloween topics. I also look forward to Thanksgiving. And starting in November, all the episodes of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale will have Thanksgiving themed topics. I also look forward to the baked goods. I love baked goods, pumpkin donuts, and all the fall goodies. The only downfall in the fall is the snowbirds. All the snowbirds from Canada and the colder states come up here and they try to take over, but a lot of them are good. It's just we get a lot more people coming in, and the restaurants and stores get busier during the fall and winter here in South Florida. So that's what I look forward to this fall. What do you look forward to this fall? I would love to hear it. Dem Tanks is in the house. Hey there. Hey, David. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Are you guys ready for Chef Alex to give you a delicious cookie recipe? It's time for Chef Alex to take over the show. Happy Saturday, everyone. Chef Alex Cardinale here. I want to thank Legendary Alex Cardinale for having me on this week's edition of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Tonight, I am going to give you my M&M cookie recipe that I have been using for years. It's a really good recipe, and I think you're going to love it. It produces a delicious M&M cookie loaded with brown sugar and delicious M&Ms. Now, I was going to do a baking video and show you guys how to make it, but unfortunately, this week I was very busy. I started my new job at Sprouts, and I didn't have time to film a baking video. However, this recipe is very simple, and I trust each and every one of you, and I know that you'll have no problem making this delicious cookie recipe. So here is the recipe for M&M cookies. Chef Alex's M&M cookies. You will need 1 cup of softened butter. That is 2 sticks of room temperature butter. You will need 1 cup of packed brown sugar. You will need a half cup of white sugar, 2 eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 cups of candy-coated milk chocolate pieces such as M&Ms. Preheat the oven to 350. Beat the butter, brown sugar, white sugar, eggs, and vanilla in a mixing bowl until light and fluffy, 2 to 3 minutes. Add flour, baking soda, and salt and blend well. Stir in the M&Ms. Drop dough by teaspoonfuls onto ungreased baking sheet. Use remaining M&Ms to decorate dough balls if you wish. Press down slightly. Bake in the oven for about 9 to 11 minutes until lightly browned. And those are your delicious M&M cookies. You should have no problem making these delicious M&M cookies. I, Chef Alex Cardinale, thank you for sticking around and hearing my delicious M&M cookie recipe. I will be back next week to give you my delicious brownie recipe. Have a great rest of your Saturday night and a great rest of your weekend. And I hope you make these M&M cookies this weekend. Thank you, Chef Alex, sending my love to each and every one of you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Thank you, Chef Alex, for that great M&M cookie recipe. I can't wait to have some M&M cookies. All right, it's time for the fun part of this week's show. It's time for our guest interview. And today's guest is a friend of mine from Canada. His name is David Morton. Enjoy the guest interview, everybody. It's time for our guest interview. And this week I have a really interesting guest. It's been a number of years since we've talked. We're friends for a while. I met him when I was doing audio podcast, and now I am doing video podcast, and I'm honored to have him on the show today. Our guest today is a former tropical fish keeper, a Canadian, and a minister. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Morton to the show. Dave, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing just capital. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So how have you been? I know it's been a while since we last chatted.
Yeah, it's, oh boy, I tell you, a lot has happened. I think last time we talked, I was living on the other side of the country in Canada in a province called British Columbia, which is where I was in British Columbia. It was just almost directly north of Idaho, that little bit of Idaho that sticks up. Boise, Idaho or something. And I just about an hour and a half north of the border from there. In a little town called Cranbrook, British Columbia, which would be, I don't know, it's kind of close to Banff and Calgary, which are, of course, Alberta cities. But anyway, and now here we are, however many years later, and I'm on the other side of the country, back to close to where I was born and raised in a province called Ontario. And I was from London, Ontario area, but now where I'm living now here in Ontario, after 27 years away, I am living near Toronto, which I never thought I would do, but here I am. So big changes.
Toronto's pretty cool.
Yeah. I used to go to school there for my a Master's of Divinity to be a pastor. But I'm living in what is called the Greater Toronto area, so kind of outside, probably about an hour away from Toronto, I guess. West, I think. West and south.
Nice. The last time I talked to you, I was living in Massachusetts, and now I'm in Florida. So I moved across.
My goodness. Hey, but at least we're in the same time zone, right? I think. Yeah. Aren't you in the Eastern time? Yeah. So, man, that's a first. Us being in the same time zone. Mind blowing.
I know. Crazy. Cross country.
Yeah. You probably see a lot of Canadians down in Florida. There's a lot of snowbirds that go down there from Canada. So you never know. Maybe someday we'll meet up.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Canadian. So you used to be a fish keeper, right?
Yeah, and if things are going well, we're we moved here to care for my mom and dad-in-law, my mother and father-in-law, and so once that kind of gets settled down, we're still trying to figure it all out. But once that settles down, I'm hoping to have more fish. I just right now we're so busy taking care of them and stuff. I don't want to get I wouldn't want to leave the fish and have something happen. So right now I don't have any fish, but yes, I kept fish for decades. Yep, from the age of 10. I think is when I got started. And I'm 53 now, so I had fish right up until the age of 52, 51 and a half. Yeah. There was a couple of years off there for university, but I kept reptiles and stuff, so I don't know. Does that it kind of counts? They still have scales.
Sure. That's true. I know you like discus and brackish fish, right? Those are your
That's
favorites?
right, exactly. Yeah, those are my two faves for sure. Yep. It's funny, because the brackish don't get a lot of love, but I found them to be an incredible set of fish. I've always enjoyed them. I had the mud skippers. I had the let's see, monos. I kept monos, mud skippers. I had G8 puffers and green spotted puffers. And then I had bumblebee gobies. I kept them together actually, the puffers and the bumblebee gobies. And then I kept mollies with my mud skippers. And then I went through a period of having red scats as opposed to the regular scat. I thought the red scat, finally there was a bit of color in the brackish water fish. And I had, of course, I had the archer fishes. Those were excellent. They were a lot of fun. So yeah, I've had a lot of different fish over the years, and of course I also did keep tropical freshwater fish, but and that's eventually led me to the discus fish, and they are probably the creme de la creme in my opinion. They were right up there.
That's true. Yeah, I like the archer fish. They actually have freshwater archer fish species now.
That's right. Back in my day, there wasn't, but now I hear they've got something like 7 or 9 different subspecies of them, and some are freshwater and some are brackish. But back in my day, there was only 2 to choose from, and they were both brackish. So, yeah, and they were always wild caught. Now some of them are getting bred, I guess. So that's
true.
That's new for me, but that just shows my age.
Do you have any pets currently?
We have a Bernedoodle, which is part Burmese mountain dog, part poodle, and she is about 7 months old, and she's probably just quite a bit larger than a medium-sized dog. So she's gonna be big. She's not gonna be huge though, but she's already she's friends with my sister-in-law's dog, and their dog is a medium-sized dog, and she's already equal to or slightly taller than that dog. Which is trying to remember what its breed is. It's a husky Alsatian cross, I think.
I have a female beagle named Brandy.
Is that the picture there behind you?
Yeah, that's her poster.
Yeah. My dad had a beagle for years, and its name was Wag. It was his favorite dog. Back when he was a kid. So, yeah, he plays with Wag up in heaven now.
Yeah, beagles are adorable.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah. Do they bay?
Yes.
Yeah. What makes them bay? Is it really like the moon, or is it other things? Or do they just bay when they're whining about something?
When they're whining, and they howl too.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's funny.
The neighbors don't like that.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh
So how's
man.
life in Canada?
Well, let's see. Um, you did ask about the food, and I was thinking. I guess the most quintessential Canadian food that is distinctly Canadian is poutine. If you've heard of poutine, it's French fries with cheese curds and gravy at its most traditional French Canadian traditional. But now there's like loaded poutine with bacon and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But that's a Canadian staple. Another one that's just like purely Canadian is a fried bread. The indigenous folks have what is called bannock, and then the European Canadians have kind of fancified it up a little bit by making it more of a dessert, and they call them beaver tails. So they're kind of a sweet bread that's fried. So not quite a donut, but in the same territory. And let's see. The other thing is I used to live nestled in the Rocky Mountains, and now I'm in Ontario, which is close to the lake. So the thunderstorms when I was in BC maybe lasted 10 minutes. And it was all just lightning and thunder and not always a lot of rain, which of course led to wildfires and all that stuff. But they were really intense, but very short. And now, living in Ontario, thunderstorms can go for hours, like literally 4 or 5 hours, and just a lot of banging and booming and big flashes of thunder or lightning and a lot of sheet lightning, and then it's like the heavens are open and it's just buckets of rain. So getting used to a bit of that. And then, of course, we have quite a few months of winter. And but I was used to out in BC. I lived there for 27 years. And where I was, there was 5 world-class ski resorts around us. And they measured snow in well, you would say yards, we would say meters. That's how they measured it, 2 yards of snow overnight or whatever. That's a lot of snow. But here, you get a lot of ice and snow. And I don't want to say it too loud in case family's listening, but it's kind of miserable here as far as weather goes. I don't enjoy it as much. The weather is kind of rough. I mean, it's like because it's coming off of Lake Ontario or coming across from Lake Huron, because we're right smack dab in the middle there, and man, it kind of it's nasty sometimes. But
I know.
When it's nice, it's really nice because everything's lush and green and everything. But when the weather hits, you kind of just, okay, we're going to stay indoors today.
I don't miss the snow at all. I used to get snow a lot in Massachusetts, but now
I'm sure you did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I have to say, for all the miserable weather that's here, I don't miss the amounts of snow we had in BC. Although that said, the snow was a nicer snow. It was powder. Like that's why people like to go skiing. It was the fluffy snow. Out here, the snow sticks to your shovel, and yeah, it's not always, like I said, miserable. It's just like miserable.
So what are some of your favorite Canadian foods?
I have to say I do like the bannock that the indigenous folks make. It's kind of interesting. Out in BC, there was a dessert called a Nanaimo bar. As you can see, I probably had too much of it. I'm kidding. But Nanaimo bars are kind of a chocolate layer, and then there's a mint or a custard layer that's a kind of hard, not soft, and then another chocolate layer on top. And so the Nanaimo bar is pretty good, and butter tarts. Oh, that's another thing that's I think is Canadian is butter tarts. How do you describe a butter tart? Not quite sure, but butter tarts are good. Yeah, and then actually, you know, even though we're Canadian, we still barbecue and grill and stuff. We're not quite as good as Kansas City or some of those southern areas as far as barbecue go, but we we hold our own, and I like to smoke briskets and that kind of thing. So that's what I enjoy to do. Ribs, I guess, more than brisket. I like ribs.
Yeah, ribs are good. I love ribs as well. I have to come to Canada someday. I've always wanted to go to Canada to visit and learn the culture there.
And learn the which?
The culture.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a wide variety of things because we a lot. There's not, our indigenous folks are really the natural born Canadians. The rest of us are all immigrants, somewhere along in our ancestry. So we have quite a wild mix. Most of our stuff is like, we have Asian stuff, but it's been kind of North Americanized. Or we have something that's Dutch, or we have something that's German or whatever, and then we kind of North Americanize it.
Like us.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, hey, there's something I just thought of as pizza. Pizza is, is an example of something that we've North Americanized, both U.S. and Canada. But what makes Canadian pizza is, I believe, and you're going to laugh at this, but I think the Hawaiian pizza was actually invented by a Canadian, which of course some people really love and some people really hate. It's got pineapple and ham, and I think it's pineapple and ham on tomato sauce and with cheese. And I confess I like it, but what's even more funny is I like it cold and in the morning for breakfast. Because I don't really like it hot. Hot pineapple, just, I don't know. But cold pineapple in the morning with a bit of ham, it's like, gosh, all you need to do is fry an egg and you got a full breakfast there.
Yeah, pineapple and ham tastes good. I'm not sure about the tomato sauce though.
Yeah, that's what makes it an acquired taste, I think. Yeah, but if you put enough cheese on it, you can't tell.
True. I love pizza though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I would totally agree. Yeah, pizza is very good. I also like chicken wings. That's the other one I like. And I haven't figured out how to make the skin really crispy on chicken wings, but I enjoy chicken wings, and so I sometimes I smoke them and then grill them at the end, or sometimes I bake them in the oven. I don't know. I've tried a bunch of different ways of doing it. I don't like. I like going out and having wings that have been fried and stuff, but I myself don't do a lot of I don't do a lot of frying of foods because I never quite know what to do with the old oil and stuff. So I don't really know how to dispose of it and stuff. But smoked wings and then grilled, I don't know. They're pretty good.
You should get an air fryer. Air fryer wings are good too.
Ah, yeah. But then another appliance, I got so many appliances on my kitchen counter now. It's crazy.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kept discus for a while too, didn't you?
Yes, for about a year and a half.
Okay.
They're pretty cool.
I found in the end for me they were so high maintenance I couldn't keep up, and I have some health issues, and I found I just couldn't keep up with them. And so I rehomed mine when I was done, and 2 weeks after I rehomed them, a pair of them bred, and I was just like,
Wow.
But it also meant I felt that I took it as a good thing. I figured, well, I took care of them well while they were with me, and so that's why they were able to breed so quick when they, either that or they were so relieved to get a new place, they just said, okay, we better breed right now in case we die. I don't know. But anyway, no, yeah, I did like discus, but I did find them high maintenance, that's for sure. And I had what do they call them? The Asian strains, the real colorful ones.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't have the German strains or, the wild strains, which, I mean, they're beautiful in their own right, that's for sure. But I don't know, I kind of like the real different colored ones, the black diamonds and or the blue diamonds, I guess they were called, and the cobalts and all that. I loved having all those different colors. It was like having a kaleidoscope, but alive in my fish tank.
That's true. I like angelfish better. Angelfish are a lot more hardy and they're more affordable.
Yeah, although I found they got nasty with each other when they came of age. I've always found they're nice when they're young, and then they get truly nasty with each other. I was like, I mean, I know they're a cichlid and all, but my goodness.
That's true.
Yeah. Especially when they go to mate. The poor female, boy, she gets a kicking. Woo. But I've heard that it's really rewarding when they spawn, that it's really kind of cool. But I never had that privilege either. There was only one fish that I was able to get to breed purely by accident, and it was the bumblebee gobies.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the same with my reptiles. When I kept reptiles for a little while, I had skinks and I had anoles and geckos and things. And by accident, I had 2 North Carolina green anoles breed out of the blue. It was like total surprise, and it was really cool. So we ended up with one little baby lizard, so we called him Junior.
Yeah, we have a lot of those here in Florida, a lot of the green anoles.
Yeah, they're probably wild though, right?
Yeah, there are thousands of them.
Oh my. Yeah, so are they a pest or are they okay?
They're okay.
Yeah, so when you see them, you don't
kill them.
Right. Oh, okay. I was like, oh no.
We have invasive iguanas here.
Ah, okay.
They're huge.
Yeah. Those ones you see people carrying them on their shoulders and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
They damage. They're invasive and they do damage to our state and stuff.
Oh wow. Okay. Huh. So people don't keep them as pets because they're invasive and we're supposed to be getting rid of them, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think there's some species that they can keep.
Well, and some of them are eaten, aren't they not?
Yeah, they're eat them
like food. Yeah, I'm not sure if I could do that either. Well, that was like, you realize, Alex, a lot of the fish we keep as aquarius, a lot of that fish they're eaten in other parts of the world.
True.
I couldn't get over like how many fish that over the years I had kept, and it was like, well, it's food somewhere else, and I'm just like, how could I couldn't do that.
I know, I feel bad for the fish.
Yeah, that's right. And yet I don't mind seafood. I'll eat seafood and everything, but it's kind of funny. But someday I'm going to be at a restaurant somewhere and I'm going to see a fish I kept. And I'm going to go, no!
They cover keep the fresh water.
Yeah. I haven't been to it yet, but here where I live, in a place called Orangeville, Ontario, there is a Dairy Queen. You've heard of Dairy Queen?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a Dairy Queen here in town that has a huge saltwater tank in the lobby where everybody eats, and it's a beautiful tank. And I haven't been there yet to be inside because with the pandemic and everything, we never got inside or whatever. They've reopened it, but I haven't had a chance to go inside. But I'm all excited because they have a great big saltwater tank in there apparently.
Nice. I love saltwater. I've kept saltwater once or twice.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. So, is it hard to keep saltwater, like different than like tropical
It's not
freshwater?
hard. It's not hard. Just there's more steps to it. Like you got to pre-mix salt water before a water change. I'd say it's more expensive over than it's hard. I think it's more expensive, but it's not hard. It's a lot easier.
Well, do you have to have a reservoir and stuff to do all that before you like water change and stuff?
You can. I've used tap water, but they recommend getting like a RODI system.
Oh, okay.
Tap water works if you have good tap water.
Yeah. Well, you know what? As you know, anything in this hobby, if you want to take it and go to the nth degree, you can. I mean, think of all those plant or aquascapers. I mean, they got CO2 going and all the ferts going, and oh my goodness, some of them are spending thousands.
That's true.
Yeah. And if I were honest, when I was keeping discus, I was getting into some pretty expensive filtration stuff. My filtration units were getting pretty pricey.
Yeah, because discus are sensitive, so they need like good water.
Yeah, and the best way to do that. So I had at one point. I don't know if you remember the Fluval series, those great big Fluval canister filters. The FX4 and the FX6. I had two FX6 filters on a 150 gallon or 180 gallon tank. And I was using one as a pre-filter for the other one.
Nice. I have
and I had two aqua flows on the back, and I had it was crazy. But my water was clean. My water was clean. But I still ended up doing I don't know what it is with discus, but I couldn't resist, so I was still doing three changes a week with all that filtration. Crazy. I look back at it now and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're a nice fish, but they require a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, but it makes you wonder if they really do. See, none of us ever actually let it, but you kind of wonder. I mean, I think what it is the older they get, at some point when they reach maturity, I think they're a little hardier. And I think it's when they're young, they're not so hardy.
True.
Or at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm sure some of your viewers will write in. That guy's wrong. He's totally wrong. I can just see the comments now, and Alex is like, why did I let this guy on my show?
There's actually a South American cichlid that I'm keeping for the first time that I'm really enjoying. It's the threadfin acara.
Oh, okay. I had a blue acara back in the day, but I electrocuted mine. Don't ask. Well, actually, maybe you want to. I don't know. Anyway, he ended up slowly swimming on his side, and then finally he got to about there, and I had to, and he was just kind of swimming in circles. It turned out I had bought a canopy that was a used one, and it was there was some wires hanging down from the canopy into the water. I had no idea. I was electrocuting him every time I was turning the water on or the light on, and then I had kind of encouraged him, one might say, to splash his tail when he was hungry. So of course, fish, they beg all the time. So he would swish his tail, and that would sometimes splash the water onto the wire. And the poor guy, oh, I felt bad.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but blue acara. So I'm kind of familiar with the acara line there. They're a very nice fish. They can get pretty big. How big is yours going to get?
They get about 8 to 9 inches.
Oh, that's a good size. Yeah,
True.
yeah. Little flecks of blue on him, or what's the look?
Gold coloration.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that whenever I can get back into the fish thing, I want to keep those little. They're about, oh, I don't know, maybe that long. I think maybe a bit longer. They're those shell dwelling fish. They live in the
Nice.
little shells, and I thought that would be good for where we're living right now. My in-laws are downstairs in our house, and they come up for meals and stuff. And but they have a dementia, so I thought it would be kind of neat to have some fish that are not too high maintenance, but are kind of interesting. And I heard that they just are constantly moving the sand, constantly in and out of the shells, and left to their own devices, they'll even breed and carry on. And I just thought, that'd be kind of cool to have. And but I haven't had a chance to set it up yet. But I know what I want to do. I just got to get a chance to do it, I guess.
Yeah, the shell dwellers are a pretty cool fish. I never kept them, but I probably would enjoy keeping them.
Yeah, yeah. They're not overly colorful, but says the guy who used to keep brackish fish. So I'm good with that.
So you used to be a minister, right?
That is true. In fact, yesterday I just finished recording a sermon and sending it off to one of the churches I used to be affiliated with when I was out in BC. So I'm kind of keeping my toe in the water, as it were. But I've been on permanent disability for about 5 years now. But I was ordained since '95, and up until 5 years ago, I was in ministry, and for the last I wish I was better at math. 9 years I was in a multi-point parish, or regional parish, you would call it. I was serving five churches in 5 communities, all about 2 hours apart from each other. And in team ministry, all 5 were served every Sunday. But then last while we had myself, because the other guy took a call to a different place in BC, and so I was left kind of holding the bag, as it were. So me and the lay people were trying to do it, and I lasted about a year, and then it was too much. But prior to that, I was in. I served in a church in Cranbrook, and also one out of town. And then before that, I was in Manitoba for a while. So, which is right in the smack dab in the middle of the country. So if you look at Canada, you got Ontario on one side in the eastern provinces, and then on the other side you have BC, and Manitoba's right in the middle of the prairies. Yeah.
Nice. So what was your job as a minister?
Well, it varied greatly. I mean, there's the preaching, of course. There's a joke kind of that, well, ministers only work 1 hour a week because they just, at the service on Sunday. But, excuse me, but actually, there is a lot that goes on for a pastor. You're visiting people in hospital. You're visiting people at the hospital, both if they're not well, but also if they're, gravely ill. You're visiting families at all kinds of different stages in their life. And I think that you're seeing people, I know it's going to sound kind of cliche, but you're seeing people at the worst of times. You're seeing people at the best of times. But how I would put it is, I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible at all, but there was the guy called Moses who led the Israelites out of Egypt from underneath the oppression of Pharaoh. And that's where you get the story of splitting the Red Sea, and you have Charleston Heston, in the movie, holding the tablets up and all that kind of thing. But anyway, one of the parts of the story of Moses is he had to go before the burning bush, and he takes his sandals off because he realizes he's on holy ground as God gives him the call to lead the people out of Egypt. And I think that's, to me, what a pastor is all about, is you're being invited into people's holy ground, because you're invited into people's lives where, they wouldn't normally invite a stranger in, but you're invited in, whether it's getting ready for a wedding, whether it's getting ready for a funeral, for a baptism, or just during their lives when, the marriage is falling apart or whatever. You're invited in. And as a chaplain at the hospital, you're invited into people's space, whether it's pre-surgery, post-surgery, whatever, at ICUs, palliative care. You're invited in as the chaplain to people you don't even know. They're not even from your parish. They're just from the community, right? I was vouched for people at court, so I did court duty all kinds of times as just a character witness, vouching for a person. And sometimes that was a good thing, and sometimes you kind of, I'm vouching for this person. Why? Because you find out later, you're like, wait a second, I was vouching. But you go with the information and the other thing is, like I said, I was in 5 different communities, so I was part of 5 different ministerials. I visited all the nursing homes for those 5 communities. So at the end, at one point I was visiting 8 different nursing homes. Most pastors are living in one community with one church, so they might have 2 nursing homes they visit, and they might have 1 ministerial they're part of. I could have been part of 5 if I wanted to be. So I had a lot to do.
So what's the hardest part about being a minister?
That's a very interesting question. A lot of people think, oh, well, visiting the people when they're dying or whatever. But actually, you know what? People are very different at those times. But where I found it difficult was actually sometimes the church board meetings. Because as a pastor, you're doing stuff and people don't always understand. One of the things that a pastor has is just like a priest. We have what is called the power of confession. So if somebody tells you something, unless they're a danger to themselves or a danger to others, or if they're if they're telling you they're about to go do something, you have to not tell anyone. They've confessed it to you. And sometimes the board wants to know what you've done or where you've been, and you're kind of like, I can't tell you. And sometimes people don't like that too much. Yeah. So there's sometimes you're getting stretched in one direction, you're getting stretched in another. And, in the end, you realize you're just middle management. I had sometime, I had this funny thing once, and, somebody said, oh, this weather isn't very good. Can you put in a good word for us, Pastor? And I said, I'm in sales, not in management. Sorry. Yeah. But overall, I think that being a pastor, every day is a new day. And if you can tough it out with not always being able to please everybody, it can be good. But that's a real tough one. Because you have all these principles that you say are true. Like, the church puts out this guideline, says, We're only going to baptize people who come to the church. So at first glance, sounds reasonable. Well, then grandma and grandpa have their grandchild who they want to see baptized, but the family they've never darkened the door of the church. Now what do you do? So the church board says, well, according to our policy, you can't baptize them because they're not part of the church. The other side of it is, well, how do we get more people in the church if we're not going to baptize them? And then somebody else says, well, are they giving? And you're like, what? This is about money? So, yeah. So that part I find is hard. But the stuff that you actually do as a pastor, I've done some incredible stuff. Visited people at their graveside, visited people at the hospital bedside when they're gravely ill, and I've met people right after they've been married. I've met people with, that kind of stuff is so powerful. It's amazing. I wouldn't change that stuff for the world, because that's where you go, okay, this is what I signed up for, kind of thing,
Sounds like a great job.
It can be, but it also, I'm here as a testimony of somebody who, I'll put up my hand, I set aside my own needs always for others, and that ended up costing me dearly. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I finally got burnt out. And one of the first things that happened when I was finally ordered home by the doctor, my kids said, "It's nice to have you home, Dad." Wow. Like, I realized I had missed years with my kids because I was out doing this and that, and yeah. But the actual pastoral part of being a pastor, it's bar none the most powerful thing. Like I said, you're with people at just very precious, powerful times in their lives. On the one day you're helping the alcoholic figure out who he's got to, say sorry to, or how he's going to do it, on his 12-step program. The next day you've been called by the emergency workers as a chaplain at an accident out on a highway because they want a chaplain there. Somebody wants to be married, and the one family wants this, the other family wants that, and they said, "Hey, can you marry us?" And you're like, "Yeah, let's talk about it." And you talk about it, and it sounds like they want to do it, and you're just like, it's incredible to be there to help them make that covenant before people and before God. It's you can't change that. That's powerful stuff.
So you actually get called to like real bad emergencies sometimes?
I did, because our communities had a chaplaincy program, but also because of some of my previous work experiences. I had been trained as a first responder at one point in my life, and so and I had been around quite a long time in the community, and so you're going to laugh at this, but because it sounds like the beginning of a joke, I was a good friend with the coroner and the undertaker, and it sounds like the beginning of a joke. We all walked into a bar, and but no, and so they sometimes knew. And I had married one of the EMS workers, and so he knew me as well, and so sometimes they just knew that a chaplain would be a way to take the families off to one side so that they could deal with what they had to do. You know, it's going to sound rough, but they're cleaning up stuff over there. So they need somebody, and the best way to do that, I mean, a social worker can do it too, but the chaplain just has a different way. And so, yeah, I was asked a couple of times to do that. I was also asked as a pastor to lead a sermon or lead a funeral. Because of my work with offenders and stuff, I was asked to lead a funeral for a guy who was in leg irons and handcuffs because he was deemed a runner by the sheriffs. And so he was called to do the eulogy, and they wanted me there because they knew I would be able to talk to him like some pastors wouldn't know how to talk to them. But because of some of my life experience stuff, they knew I could talk to him, and we had a great conversation, actually. And the reason I know that, and you're going to laugh, but that's okay, I got him to cry. And the sheriff even said later, he said he'd never seen anyone get that guy to cry because he was like Mr. Tough Guy or whatever, right? And I had him in tears about his dad, who wasn't a good dad. But it was his funeral for his brother, and got him to open up. And it was a powerful moment then, because he was able to share something that he had his little notes down, and then he essentially set them aside and just shared from the heart. It was actually powerful stuff. I'm almost tearing up just talking to you about it. So, and one of the neat experiences, I did a funeral for a spy once too. He was at least a double agent. I don't know if a triple agent really exists, but he had medals that he had Canadian or British, and some of them are and then U.S., and then he had some Russian ones as well.
Wow, he was all over the place.
He was all over the place, for sure. And how I got to know him was actually through those nursing home chapel services I talked about you earlier. He was one of the patients at one of the nursing homes, and I knew him as a guy who could kind of go off the wall. It turned out that he had gone through a deprogramming thing after the war. This would have been kind of Korean Cold War time period, and he was deprogrammed. Turns out he had been in now here's some Canadian trivia for you. You'll have to Google this later, but Camp X. He had been trained in Camp X. And so he was definitely a spy. And that's all the family knew. But then when I went to talk to them and we were talking about certain things, I said, well, can we go to his room that he used to live in, not at the nursing home, but at his original homestead. And while we were up in his room looking at stuff, I opened a drawer, and they had never really opened. I mean, they had opened the drawer, but I reached in and I felt this box at the back, and I pulled out the box, and that's where all these medals were.
Nice. That must have been cool to find those.
It opened up a lot of things for the family, and so then they invited me to lead the funeral for him because I had that contact with him from the nursing home. Nobody else had really known him, and the family only knew certain bits of it. So suddenly there was a bit more to him, and some things were validated. He had done some pretty bad stuff because of the deprogramming, he had become a drinker and all kinds of stuff because he was dealing with all this weird stuff. And but because we found some stuff out, it helped, resolve stuff for the family. And so, yeah, I worked as a chaplain at a forensic psychiatric institute before becoming a pastor. So some of that background helped me as well. So I've done a lot of different things in my life. I also worked in a theater troupe for little kids when I was younger. I was about, 16 or 17. And I dressed up as a beaver in a beaver costume for one summer. And we did 93 shows in one summer of a whodunit for kids. So, and what else weird jobs have I had over the years? Oh, and I picked out the chickens in those barns and put them in the cages in the trucks where they go off to be chicken nuggets and all that. Now there's a really gross job. Don't ever take a job like that. Oh my gosh, it was awful. And I also picked tobacco for many years. Not that I was one of the best pickers. I was actually just one of the hired hands who would follow behind the professional pickers, and I would try and keep up by picking up the leaves that they missed. That was my job. And awful, dirty job. Like, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So, yeah, not afraid of hard work, but done a lot of different stuff over my time. And I think that in part that all those different life experiences all added up that I was able to talk to almost anyone in the churches that I was part of about whatever. Because I could just, it's not, people said, oh, you have the gift of the gab. And it's not really, well, it's not so much gift of the gab. It's just a lot of different experiences enabled me to talk to a lot of different people, because I've talked to people in all kinds of times and periods in their life. And, if you're working with young offenders, suddenly you're dealing with families that are quite, not always, but often wealthy and stuff. And so you're dealing with a lot of people at churches. You're dealing with people in all different walks of life, and they're all there just to come on a Sunday. So you're dealing with people that have a rich experience in life, and you're sitting down and having meals with them at the potlucks or whatever. And so, yeah.
I want to thank you for being a guest today. I had a great time.
Yeah. Oh, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I enjoy being able to share a little bit, and gladly do it again another time for sure.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you on again. We'll talk more about ministry if you want.
Whatever you want. I'm at your beck and call, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for taking time to be here today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. All right.
Have a good night.
You too.
I'd like to thank my guest, David Morton, for being a fantastic guest tonight. David, you did a great job, and it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. All right, are you ready for some football? It's time for me to talk about my favorite football team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then I have a special song for Dallas Cowboy fans. All right, so last week, NFL Week 2, the Buccaneers took on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, and it was a close game. The first half was a really good defensive battle, and it was a low-scoring game. But in the final quarter, the fourth quarter, the Buccaneers defense dominated. They got a couple of key turnovers and interceptions. And in the end, the Buccaneers defeated the Saints 20-10. That's right. The Buccaneers improved their record to 2-0 as they defeated the Saints 20-10. And it was great seeing the Saints quarterback and the Buccaneers former quarterback, Jameis Winston, throwing picks because that's all he does and that's all he's known for. Now, tomorrow is NFL Week 3, and the Buccaneers seek their first 3-0 start in 17 years. Tomorrow, the Buccaneers will host their home opener. The Buccaneers will play at Raymond James Stadium for the first time in 2022. And it's a home matchup of two all-time quarterback greats. But this game might actually be controlled by two high-powered defenses because the Buccaneers and Packers have great defenses. Is a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers meeting a big deal? Definitely. When Rodgers' Green Bay Packers visits Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium, it will mark the first game in NFL history in which both starting quarterbacks already have at least 3 AP NFL MVP awards. The last two times teams guided by Brady and Rodgers met each other in the regular season, the victorious quarterback went on to guide his team to the Super Bowl championship. That was Tom Brady both times with the Patriots in 2018 and the Bucs in 2020. The last time these two quarterbacks squared off, it was in the 2020 NFC Championship game, and their teams are once again considered prime contenders to make it that far. Tampa's defense has occurred a league-high 10 sacks, and while Shaquille Barrett and Devin White are off to red-hot starts, much of that pass rush success can be attributed to the creative mind of head coach Todd Bowles, the defensive architect and play caller. The Buccaneers and Packers are tied for the NFL's best regular season record last year in 2021, as both teams finished at 13-4. But unfortunately, neither team made it to their expected destination, as both the Buccaneers and Packers lost in the divisional round of the playoffs. So tomorrow night, it's the Green Bay Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers NFL Week 3. And here is my predictions. I am going to go on a limb and say the Buccaneers will get the W tomorrow. I think the Buccaneers will defeat the Packers 27-21. The Green Bay Packers 1-1 take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 2-0. Tomorrow, Sunday, September 25th, 4:25 p.m. Eastern at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, and it will be on Fox. And my prediction is the Buccaneers will go 3-0 as they will beat the Packers 27-21. I think it's going to be a great game. I'll miss it, unfortunately, because I'll be at work, but I think the Bucs got this. I think they'll beat the Packers 27-21. Well, speaking of football, I have a very special, funny video for all those of you who are Dallas Cowboy fans. Every year, I hear from Dallas Cowboys that this year is going to be their year that they win the Super Bowl. But every year, they fail. Here is a special music video dedicated to the Dallas Cowboys.
All the same, only the seasons change every year. This team just comes up late. People always say they could win the Super Bowl. We heard the same old crowd by Tony Romo. They're the Cowboys, they're always way over hype. They've been average since '95. Why do people act like that's Tom Brady? One of them's the GOAT, and one's a baby sheep. And my Macaw is no Bill Belichick. It's like the dude's never heard of Catfish, man. They're the Cowboys, the most overrated team alive. And I don't care if they win 12-5. They're a crappy team in disguise ever since '95.
That was a great song dedicated to the Dallas Cowboys. I really enjoyed that song. Shout out to Sandra Shaker, who is watching the video. Hey, Alex, how are you doing today? I am doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you so much for tuning in to the show tonight. All right, moving along. We're now going to talk about my next favorite sports team and my next favorite sport, baseball. It's time to talk about the Yankees. All right, so the Yankees had a great week this week. We pretty much won every day of the week. So on Tuesday, the Yankees beat the Pirates 9-8. On Wednesday this week, the Yankees killed the Pirates 14-2. On Thursday this week, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 5-4. And then on Friday, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 5-4 again. Today, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 7-5. And hopefully tomorrow, the Yankees can sweep the Red Sox in a 4-game series. The Yankees have already clinched the playoff spot, and the Red Sox have been eliminated from postseason play. So the Yankees have a series against the Blue Jays this coming week, Monday, September 26th to Wednesday, September 28th. They'll take on the Blue Jays. They have Thursday, September 29th off, and then this coming weekend, Friday, September 30th to Sunday, October 2nd, the Yankees will take on the Baltimore Orioles. Now, I'm really excited because the Yankees have clinched the playoff spot, but I'm a little bit worried. I think the Yankees need to play a lot better. We need to have a better offense heading into the playoffs, but I am still confident that the Yankees can pull it off and win us our 28th World Series championship. So I can't wait to talk about the Yankees and the Buccaneers next week. All right, are you ready for some fun videos? Keep in mind, these fun videos are rated PG-13, so don't get offended. So the first video is of a restaurant host insulting a guest. Check it out.
Hi there, I'd like to make a reservation.
Sure, for how many?
For 2.
Great, what's your phone number?
548.
Oh, yep, I got you right here. This is you, right?
Shrek. So the next funny video is of a cashier, and we've all had this one cashier. Let's check it out.
How's your day going so far? All right, your total is going to be $29.97. Would you like to donate a couple dollars for sick kids today?
Nope.
Are you sure? I mean, we can even just round up your total to the nearest dollar. It was $29.97, so it'll only be like 3 cents. It's like nothing for you.
Nah, I'll keep my 3 cents.
Are you sure, sir? I mean, these kids have cancer, and they're African.
Fuck Africa. Also, fuck cancer too. I dated cancer before, and she was a bitch.
That's not even the same thing at all. What?
Shut up. Don't be bothering people with shit like this again. You're the reason people go to self-checkout. Also, nobody gives a fuck about them kids. Too much.
That's kind of funny. So the next video, imagine you're a drive-through worker at a fast food restaurant, and this is what someone wants to order.
Hi, can I get a large cock?
A large
Hey,
one?
a large cock.
Ma'am, due to COVID-19, we're short on that.
Due to COVID-19, we're short on that. So this next video is our Chad of the week, a male version of a Karen arguing at the bank. Check it out.
Tell me to leave. I have a paycheck here.
You can leave.
Fuck you.
Get out. Please. Fine. They're going to arrest you. You really want to go down that road?
I do.
You are being aggressive unnecessarily.
Give me my money.
I'm not helping you do anything except for...
Call the police.
Leave.
I'm not
I'm not
leaving.
helping you right now.
I'm not.
I'm just going to call the cops.
Call the police. Understand that?
Sir, you are way over the top.
Give
Seriously?
me my money and I'll get under the top.
No, I'm not helping you do
Give me
anything.
my money
I'm not helping you
and
do
I'll
anything.
get under the top.
Arthur, I really appreciate you.
Like that guy was singing, kind of, doesn't it?
Our records indicate you haven't completed the company feedback survey yet. How do you know? I thought they were anonymous. They are. I was just reminding you that they are due today. Okay, I'll go ahead and fill it out. My manager is always available to help and is a good leader. Strongly disagree. You needed to see me? Yeah, I just wanted to discuss your company feedback survey.
All right, the last video I have for you this week is another restaurant host.
Excuse me, host person? Yes, is something the matter? Yeah, my buzzer thing is broken. What makes you think it's broken? Because I've been waiting for a table for 20 minutes and it still hasn't buzzed. So, like I told you when you put your name on the list, it's gonna be about a 45-minute wait. How many times am I expected to just do laps around this mall? You're welcome to take a seat in our waiting area if you'd prefer. And do what? Just stare at your oddly Egyptian-themed decorations? I don't. Maybe if you turn the lights up, I could get started on reading this novel you people call a menu. I don't control the lights. Well, then go find whoever does, because I'm not gonna eat my meal in a dungeon. Unfortunately, our lighting can't be changed. There's a California pizza kitchen right across the parking lot, and I will not hesitate to take my business there. Okay, so should I take your name off the list, or? Fine, but just know that I will never dine here again. Is that a promise?
I love the Cheesecake Factory, though. All right, so those are our funny videos for this week's episode of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. It's time for Aqua Alex to chat about the fish of the weekend.
It's time to chat tropical fish. Let's welcome Aqua Alex Cardinale to Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Aqua Alex will be discussing a species of tropical fish each and every week. It will either be a freshwater or saltwater tropical fish species that is in the aquarium hobby and can be kept by aquarium hobbyists. Aqua Alex has kept many different species both fresh and salt. He has knowledge mostly on cichlids, catfish, monster fish, and many others. What fish is up for discussion today? Ladies and gentlemen, dive into the fish tank. Get ready to welcome the one and the only, Aqua Alex. Here is the one and the only South American and monster fish keeper Aqua Alex.
Hey, fish keepers! Happy Saturday evening to all of you. Aqua Alex Cardinale here to talk about this weekend's fish of the weekend. And this weekend I am focusing on the Asian upside down catfish, also known as the Burmese upside down catfish. Not to be confused with the Synodontis upside down cat, The Asian upside down cat is completely black and it grows much larger. So I can't wait to discuss the Asian upside down catfish with all the fish keepers that are watching this episode of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Before I give you some information on the Asian upside down cat, I want to show you a video of what they look like. Now, I wanted to take a video of my Asian upside down cat, but he is hiding in a rock and he's not cooperating with me. That's unfortunate. However, here is a video of some Asian upside down cats that I found online. Very neat looking catfish, right? Well, now let's learn about the Asian upside down catfish. And as the name suggests, you will find Asian upside down cats all over Asia. You'll find them in Burmese and Myanmar. They're a very cool catfish. Now, the Asian upside down catfish can grow to 9 to 12 inches in length. So it is kind of a large growing catfish species. It'll grow 9 to 12 inches, which is pretty cool. So therefore, it would require a 90-gallon aquarium and above. And it's a great catfish because it does swim upside down and it lives to its name. And a lot of people think it's either dying or dead, but no. The Asian upside down catfish is supposed to swim that way. So it's a very unique catfish in that way. So it needs a 90-gallon and above, and it could be a little bit of an aggressive catfish. So tank mates for the Asian upside down catfish would include other large growing fish. It's a great tank mate for African cichlids, Oscars, red devils, and other large growing cichlids. It can live with angels, and it can live with other larger cherisons like silver dollars, larger barbs, and other large growing catfish like sun catfish, because sun cats live in the same area as their Burmese upside down cat. It can live with pictus cats, shovel noses, etc. You do not want to keep the Asian upside down catfish with smaller fish, though, like neon tetras or guppies, for example, because the Asian upside down cat will likely eat them. Like all catfish, the Asian upside down catfish has a huge appetite, and it will eat any fish that fits in its mouth. So don't keep them with small fish. As for the Asian upside down cat's diet, you can feed them anything meaty because they are a carnivorous catfish. So things like raw market shrimp, tilapia, earthworms, they will be greatly consumed by the Asian upside down cat, and they will love eating that. So that's a great diet for them. Also, quality flake food, quality sinking pellets, and frozen food is a great diet for the Asian upside down catfish. So I highly recommend that you do get an Asian upside down cat for your aquarium because they are a really unique, unorthodox catfish that swims upside down. So definitely, if you ever come across one, get them. I live in South Florida, and my local pet store, Pet Supermarket, had them. And when I saw them, I had to have them. And I got the sun cats on the same day that I got my Asian upside down cat. If I could ever get a video of my Asian upside down cat, I will post it here on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. All right, fish keepers, have a great rest of your Saturday. And I thank Legendary Alex Cardinale for allowing me to host Aqua Alex's Fish of the Weekend. Next Saturday, I'm going to be double featured on Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale because I'm going to Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida, my favorite fish store, with my friend Daryl. And I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see what new fish I get. Hopefully some clown loaches and pictus cats. But next Saturday, I'm going to show off my new fish, that I get from Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida. And next Saturday's fish of the weekend is going to be my favorite predatory fish that I have, the black wolffish, Hapalis curupira. So come learn about the black wolf and see what new fish I get next week on Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and thank you for watching Aqua Alex's Fish of the Weekend.
Live next Saturday, October 1st, 2022 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on a spooky edition of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. It's time to get ready for Halloween spooky season. Each Saturday in October there will be Halloween-themed topics, and it all starts next Saturday. Legendary Alex Cardinale will discuss his favorite Halloween movies and what to do on Halloween. Chef Alex will show you how to make delicious and simple brownies. Brownies are a delicious treat. Next week's special guest will be a friend of Legendary Alex Cardinale and host of This Needs to Be Said, Catherine Jones. What will Catherine and Alex have to discuss? Aqua Alex will show off his new fish from Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida, and the fish of the weekend is the black wolf fish. All that and more, including funny videos, Tampa Bay Buccaneers discussion and more. Live next Saturday, October 1st, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on YouTube channel The Legendary Alex Cardinale.
That's right, next Saturday, October 1st, it's the start of Halloween-themed Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. But we still have some fun segments to go this week. It's time to welcome Tweety to the show. Here is what's currently trending on Twitter at the moment. AccuWeather. Now, South Florida is expecting a storm. Tropical storm Ian is strengthening, expected to hit Florida as a major hurricane. So let's pray that tropical storm Ian does not hit South Florida, or it just turns into a thunderstorm with rain, because I cannot afford to lose power, because I can lose some of my fish. Also trending is Hurricane Ian. So hopefully we do not get that hurricane or bad weather, or hopefully it'll just be rain and wind like it usually is. Also trending right now is Jordan Travis. Before this season, Jordan Travis has passed for 200 plus yards in a game just 5 times. He's already done it 3 times in 2022. Very, very cool. The Florida Gators are trending as they're taking on Tennessee, which is really cool. Let's see what else is trending. Hurricanes are currently trending. Jacob deGrom is trending. His final line against the Oakland Athletics, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, and 5 Ks. That is the most runs he's given up in a start since May of 2019. Kobe Bryant is trending. Netflix, The Redeemed Teams documentary, explores Kobe Bryant's win at all cost mentality in the 2008 Olympics. That's a very cool thing. I should check that out. Let's see what else is trending. Theodore Long is trending. Professional wrestler manager Theodore Long is trending. And that is what's trending this week. Tweety wants to remind all of you, be careful what you post on social media. And he wishes you a happy and healthy week. And we will see you next Saturday. So we go from one bird to another. All right, well, This week, we're concluding our Best American Foods. It's the final Best American Foods for September 2022. And Liberty and I have decided that these are the final Best American Foods. Chicken noodle soup, pancakes, country fried steak, chicken fried steak, American goulash, which is a pasta dish that has a meat sauce. It has hamburg and tomatoes in it. Very good. Chicken marsala, which is an Italian dish that has been Americanized. Fried rice, which is a Chinese dish that has been Americanized. Bread pudding and vanilla cake. Those are all of America's best foods. And Liberty wants to wish all of you Americans a happy and healthy weekend, and we'll see you next Saturday. One final segment for this week's great episode. All right, this week I'm going to conclude the show with some awesome words of wisdom. Get busy living or get busy dying. Live life to the fullest and focus on the positive. No one is you. That is your power. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. If you get tired, learn to rest, not quit. And finally, you are the artist of your life. Don't give the paintbrush to anyone else. So, with that being said, those are really important quotes. All righty, everybody. I want to thank you all for watching this week's episode of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. Special thanks to David Morton for being an amazing guest. You guys have made this one of the most live viewed episodes, and I am really thankful for that. Thank you, everyone who tuned in live. And also, thank you those who watched the replay of this episode. Love you all. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your view. Next week on Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. My special guest will be Catherine Jones. We'll have Halloween topics. Chef Alex will make brownies. Aqua Alex will talk about black wolffish and show off his new fish from Aquatic and Exotic, and much more. So make sure you tune into Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale next Saturday, October 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And if you're a new subscriber, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your views. And go Tampa Bay Buccaneers and go New York Yankees. Legendary Alex Cardinale saying have a legendary rest of your Saturday. And thank you for watching. I will see you next Saturday.
Live next Saturday, October 1st, 2022 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on a spooky edition of Saturday Live with Legendary Alex Cardinale. It's time to get ready for Halloween spooky season. Each Saturday in October there will be Halloween-themed topics, and it all starts next Saturday. Legendary Alex Cardinale will discuss his favorite Halloween movies and what to do on Halloween. Chef Alex will show you how to make delicious and simple brownies. Brownies are a delicious treat. Next week's special guest will be a friend of Legendary Alex Cardinale and host of This Needs to Be Said, Catherine Jones. What will Catherine and Alex have to discuss? Aqua Alex will show off his new fish from Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida, and the fish of the weekend is the black wolf fish. All that and more, including funny videos, Tampa Bay Buccaneers discussion and more. Live next Saturday, October 1st, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on YouTube channel The Legendary Alex Cardinale.